Let us know who you are.
Okay. I'm Yehuda Saxon.
Yehuda, where are you from, Yehuda?
Pittsburgh, PA.
You Steeler.
Oh, well, I met you briefly before.
Yeah, at the UYU.
Yeah. You're from Pitt. Okay, cool. And what grade are you in?
Ninth.
Have you been to Yakakala before?
No.
What school do you go to?
Pittsburgh Alderdice. It's a bomb.
You go to Alderdice?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
Is that a big school?
Amazing.
What?
Okay, so my name is Rabbi Willig, and I'm from New York City. My favorite ice cream is vanilla cookie dough
Yeah.
Yum.
with caramel on top.
Really good.
So we're going to talk about siblings, specifically in the book of Bereshit. Very good. Great memory. Genesis. And we're going to start with the first siblings ever. Okay, so before we talk about the first siblings, we know who are the first people ever. Adam and Eve. Their Hebrew names were? Rachel? Adam and Eve, their Hebrew name was? Anyone know? Adam and Chava. Okay, so you can write that down if you want. Adam, which is translated as Adam, it's pretty easy. And Chava, which is Eve. Very often, if you can't pronounce huh, you just say huh. So that's how Eve happened. So Adam and Eve. Okay, we down with that so far? Everyone okay? Fine. They had two sons at first. Who were their two sons?
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. Who knows their Hebrew names? Anyone know? Excellent. They had two sons, Cain and Hevel. Okay. So here's where things get interesting. Cain and Hevel were two brothers, and you could sit right here.
What's the title of this class?
Oh, it's your sister. Amazing. Great.
I went to the
Wait,
wrong
what's the
class
title?
back.
We should write down the title.
The Jillian siblings.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. So you are Emma Miller? Oh, you're Rachel Miller.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Your last name is Rubenstein. Okay, you're from Beechwood.
Yeah.
Great. And you like bracelets.
Obsessed. Yeah. She's like one of the cats with the jingly bells with collars.
Yeah, either you heard that or you heard it.
Okay, great, amazing, good. Just so you know, everybody, we have Lisi, i.e., Esther, Nicole, Yehuda, Rachel. You know her?
Yeah, okay.
What's her name?
Sarah. Everybody always calls you Sarah.
What do you call her?
Other things.
You're in a good mood. What do you call her?
Hannah.
Hannah. Okay, great.
Darling.
Okay, beautiful. So that's the table. So if you get anyone's name, just ask them and they'll repeat their names. My name is Rabbi Willig, and we're going to start learning Torah right now. Cain and Hevel. Cain and Abel were two brothers. Their parents were Adam and Eve. Now here's what happened. The world was just beginning, or at least society was just beginning. Mankind was just starting out. And part of the world and part of our world is spirituality. Is anyone here, if you feel comfortable answering this question, is anyone here ever in a position where you feel spiritual? Okay. So back then as well, some people felt spiritual, they felt connected to God. And one thing they would do is they would pray. Another thing they would do, these are the first people that lived, is they would offer up what they would call a korban. A sacrifice is the English word, but that's a bad translation. So we're going to move away from that translation. If you want to know why, we'll talk about it later. But they would offer a korban. The word korban means close, because they understood that when you presented something to God, to Hashem, He doesn't need what you're giving Him. God doesn't need you to go give Him something so now He could use it. But when you give Him a korban, when you give Him a gift, essentially it's karov, it's close, it brings you close to Him. Because in general, when you give something to somebody, when you connect to somebody, you feel some level of closeness. Do you agree, disagree, ambivalent?
I agree.
You agree. Okay. If you ever disagree to anything I'm saying, raise your hand or like go like this and look really upset.
Or like the whole talk most.
Or you could just raise your do whatever you want. I don't mind if you guys disagree, but feel free to share it with me and we'll talk about it. So, already from the beginning of time, people were looking to get close to God. So the Torah tells us that these two brothers were interested in connecting to God. So Cain had some fruit, and he had some vegetables, and he had some stuff from his field that he worked in. And he said, you know what? This will be stuff for God. and he brought a korban of all that stuff and left it for God. Now Hevel, who was his brother, Abel, who used to work more with animals, decided, you know what? Instead of just bringing some like flowers and some fruits and vegetables, I'm going to bring an animal, which is like something that's considered a bit more expensive, maybe something that's considered a bit more substantial. And that's what he did. So one way to look at it, guys, is that one brother inspired the other brother. Okay? Another way to look at it is a word that starts with a C and it has 4 syllables.
I can't count the syllables.
Kill.
Shifarov. Starting to see it has 4 syllables.
Start. What's that? Oh, at least he's got it. A little louder.
Competition.
Competition. So one brother decided that what? I'm going to bring a korban. Mysteriously, Rachel, what happens next?
The other brother.
The other brother's like, whoa, wait a minute. I want to bring a korban. Whoa. So again, my friends, either it could be inspiration. One brother inspired the other brother, which is also 4 syllables. Alternatively, what did Lisa suggest? That why was the second brother? Why was Hevel bringing this korban? Why? Competition. My brother brought a korban. Whoa, I could totally bring a korban myself. So he brings a nicer korban.
Would you
Now that's the
summarize
first.
it as sacrifice or gift or?
You could either one. Either one's excellent. Okay, so he's automatically looking to see what his brother's doing and acting on that to see if he could do better. And the truth is that because he brought something more substantial, God liked his korban more. Now remember, 2 brothers. One brother brought a korban, the other's like, okay, I'm bringing a korban. God sees the second korban, the one from Hevel, and God's like, whoa, this is a really, God accepts the korban with more grace. Now obviously, this is very important for all you guys in the room. Anytime somebody gives you a gift, you have to be thankful. Right? You know that. You can't be like, yeah, give it to me, I hit you. You have to be thankful. But when someone gives you a gift with love, when someone gives you a gift with emotion, it's even more meaningful. So when God saw that the second korban that was brought, the one from Hevel, was brought with more meaning, that he invested more, it cost more money. It wasn't just like one of those things he got in a 99-cent store. He actually like saved up for it to like really give God something that he felt was special because he wanted to connect to him. So God related to that korban more. Now there's another word.
Wait, who brought the first one?
The first one was brought by Cain.
Okay, so he brought a gift to God first.
Yeah, but it was like mid-quality. And then Hevel brought one that was top quality. Like the best stuff. Okay, now here's what happened next. How do you think the first brother felt? When
Betrayed.
he felt betrayed. That's one option.
Jealous.
Jealous. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's a big word. We're gonna get there. Jealous. Any other words? Full of angst. That's what the Torah describes it as. He was upset. Any other ways you might describe it? Is a word that starts with a D.
Disappointed.
It's
Wrong
me.
word.
2 syllables.
It's made.
Depressed. Wait, no.
Depressed.
Dispatch.
The Torah says that he was. The Torah says that he was depressed. The Torah says that he brought a korban, and he brought his korban first. Again, this fellow Cain, and then his brother Abraham brought a korban. And who did God like more, his or his brothers? Like his brothers. So he felt disappointed, and he felt depressed. And as we heard over here from Hannah, he felt jealous. Now, does anyone know what Cain did to Hevel?
Yeah.
Does anyone know? Raise your hand if you know. Anyone? If you know, raise your hand. If you don't know, you don't have to raise your hand. Esther, you want to tell us what he did?
He killed him, right?
Killed him. The first time in the Torah anyone ever killed anybody was when Cain killed him. He killed him.
That's so insane, though.
Wait.
He killed his
The
brother.
whole like bash in the head with the rock.
Yeah, he killed
And, like,
his
the
brother.
mark
He
that
was
they
so
made.
angry. He was so jealous. He was so upset. He was so depressed. He was so disappointed. He was so, my brother got and I did it. God likes my brother more than me. I was killing him. It was so upsetting him. The Torah tells he killed his brother. Now that is messed up. Now the Torah tells us the story for a reason. Part of it is so we know the history of the world. We know a little bit about who was involved in the story in the first society of the world. But another reason the Torah tells us is because what does the word Torah mean? Anyone know what the word Mora means? Mora.
Is there like a teacher?
Yeah, so the word Torah means teacher. Why is the Torah telling us this story? You want to know why? To teach us something. Very good. The Torah is teaching us something. The Torah is teaching us that when you have siblings, especially if they're close in age, sometimes you'll deal with the issue of jealousy. Sometimes you deal with the issue of competition. Right. And you know what, guys? When the Torah tells us a story, it's telling us the story to let you know that it's an issue to deal with. And if you think that you're dealing with it and it makes you feel bad or guilty, it's something that we need to remember that it's something that we need to deal with. And sometimes we need to remember that there are things we need to deal with. And not just it's unfair, not just to get upset, not just to decide that when we're in a situation like that, if we feel a little jealous, or we're in a situation where maybe our brother or our sister is jealous of us, that the response is not to kill them. Okay?
It's also a felony.
It's also a felony. You can go to jail, and in some states you can get killed for that. So it's not good to kill. But that's what the most basic lesson of the Torah at this first story about siblings is that the answer is not to kill each other. The answer is not to fight with each other. The answer is to communicate. And if your sibling is jealous of you, or you're jealous of your sibling, so there are other ways to go about it. Does anyone here have any suggestions of what might be a good way to go about it? If you see that your sibling is better at something than you, or if you see that your sibling is jealous of you. Is there any suggestions here? Feel free to share any suggestions. Rachel?
Well, everyone has something they're good at, so even if like your sibling is good at one particular sport activity, chances are you're good at another activity that they're not. So it's just finding what talent you work with.
Great. I love that. I love what Rachel just said. Excellent. Hannah?
Well, I had a question.
Oh, okay, we'll get to your question in a minute.
But for the whole like jealousy thing, if you think that your sibling can do something better at you and you would
I
like,
can't hear you. What's that?
if you think that your sibling is better at something and you would like to be like better at the subject, not to like excel and compete with them, but just to be better at it. I mean, they're your sibling. I'm sure they wouldn't mind you like talking to them about it. Cause, if you're in classes together and they're getting a better grade, well, then why don't you study with them?
Great. I'm liking that. Talk to them about it. So we have two suggestions. One is find something that you feel that you're good at. That's what Rachel suggested. Hannah suggested maybe talk to them about it. Any other ideas? Nicole, what do you got?
If you both like the activity, one's better than the other, then practice with each other. Like if it's basketball, play one-on-one. If it's singing, like listen to each other sing and tell you who's like what to work on. So
Right.
Try and critique each other.
That's great. I like that.
Yes.
I like that. Is that hard sometimes though?
Yes.
Because you
Why
don't want
is-
to hurt their feelings.
Right.
And the fact that you
And
are competitive
and
while doing
right.
that.
And if you're sensitive like that in your relationship with this person, so then you don't want to hurt their feelings. But if it's the opposite, you don't want to help them sing better. You don't want to help them get better at basketball because you want them to stink because you want to be better. Which raises us to the next question, okay? Which is how siblings fight. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to move away from the story of Cain and Abel, from Cain and Abel, to a different story. Okay, can I use this for a minute?
Yeah. Can I ask a question on that story before we move on?
Yeah, you do.
Alright, so about that story, like I know it's easy to ask this from being like an outside point of view and not being like actually in the story. But like if he was so like overwhelmed
You gotta talk a little louder so you.
if he was so overwhelmed with jealousy, like why couldn't he realize that it was his fault that his sacrifice, that his gift was not good enough?
Well, you don't want to admit. Oh, well.
You don't want to admit
Very
admit
good.
it, but still, like
I like the question.
It's kind of
I
like
like the
still, if you
question.
were
you
put
have
in
to realize that it's your fault.
If you were put in the situation, you wouldn't say, "Oh, well, yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, I should have done better." You would be, "Oh my gosh."
That's why I said it's easier to ask it from like an outside point of view. But I mean, if you're gonna give Hashem a gift, shouldn't it be a no-brainer that you're gonna give the best that you can?
So I think if I can share my position on this matter, that you're both right. The question is, the question is, and it's a really good question, is why wouldn't Cain realize that? Why wouldn't Cain realize, maybe the reason that God accepted my brother's korban more than mine is because my brother gave a better korban, and next time I should give a better korban. But the reason he did think of that, and this is what this suggestion would posit to us, is that when you get so involved in anger, and when you get involved in jealousy, you know what shuts down?
Your
Your logic.
wrong.
You know what shuts down, Rachel?
Your brain.
Your brain shuts down. And when you're angry, you'll say the stupidest things and the most hurtful things. And when you're jealous, you don't even think logically because you're so involved in your jealousy. So that is what I think the answer to your question is. Excellent question. Now let's move around to another part of the Torah that we heard about earlier. Two brothers, okay, that didn't get along.
Is it the ones I said before?
Well, you mentioned the dad and the son. I'm looking for the two brothers.
Oh.
I definitely said the wrong name. I said
Esau
the brother.
And
Esav
oh my gosh.
and Yaakov.
Yes.
Okay, who knows their English names? Jacob and
Esau.
Esau. Very good. Jacob and Esau. So their father was Yitzchak. Their grandfather was
Abraham.
Abraham. And they were both very talented. But there was one issue. They were very different. Yaakov loved to study all day. He loved to learn. He loved to get involved in like wisdom and study all sorts of ideas and subjects. And Esav loved to just hang around the field killing animals. He was really into that. He would just like kill animals.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And here's the next issue we're going to deal with, my friends. The next issue we're going to deal with is the Torah's description of what their childhood was like. You know what the Torah says? Yitzchak, Isaac, was married to Rivka, whose English name was
Rebecca.
very good, Yuda. Yitzchak and Rivka were married, Isaac and Rebecca. It says that Isaac loved Esav, and Rebecca loved Jacob. In case you think I'm making it up, it's in the Torah.
So,
It says that Yitzchak loved Esav, and Rivka loved Yaakov.
so one parent to one kid.
Now, obviously, everyone in this room knows that it doesn't mean that each parent only loved this child, right? I don't think that's what it means. I think all parents generally love their children. What do you think the Torah is telling us when it says that
Favoritism.
Yitzchak loved Esav and Rivka loved Yaakov? Nicole?
Favoritism.
Favoritism. And that's what we're going to move on to now. What happens, guys, when you have a twin, or you have a sibling, in this case they were twins, and you get the impression that one of your parents, or both of your parents, like your sibling more than you, or favor your sibling more than you? Has anyone here ever experienced that? Where you think that maybe your parent or parents happen to like one of your siblings more than they like
not
you, or
like
favor?
have to deal with more.
Have to deal with. Okay. Okay. You ever feel like that?
Yeah, like my older sister, because of her learning disability, I refused to help her with the homework. I'm like, do it yourself. Like, you need to learn what you're doing. But my mom's like, no, you need to help her.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, no, Mom, she can spell the word there by herself.
Right.
like-
Okay. Good. And Rachel, you have any? Does that happen to you ever? Have you ever thought that or
well,
felt
my
that?
sister has, well, they say it's depression, but she has a lot of issues, like anger issues, troubling issues, behavioral like issues, so they have to focus a lot more attention just to like get her out of the house, to doctor's appointments and stuff, and just deal with her like tantrums, so to
Okay.
speak. So it's just kind of, they have to put a lot more attention into her, just
Right.
so.
Okay. Do you think it means they like her more?
No, I think they just have to deal with
Deal
her
with
more.
her
I
more.
actually, I think it's a lot harder on them because like I just like I go along, you know, I'm just and like
Right.
because she causes so much trouble. It's just like
How old is your sister?
15.
15. Okay. Anyone here ever have that experience or ever think about that? You want to articulate it? You want to?
Oh, sure. Well, my brother, my sister, and I, like, we're all really different people, even though, like, we're the same age. But with us being so different, our parents have to not treat us differently, like, oh, they like us better. No, it's not favoritism, but they, like, kind of have to, like, deal with us in different ways. But it's not like, I'm wording it really bad, but it's not like they have to treat us totally different 180 ways, but maybe she likes something more than I do. and maybe I don't like that thing.
Right,
But
right.
it's not favoritism. It's just that you have to talk to us and not talk to us. Equally.
Okay,
Do you get what I'm
I got
saying?
it. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I just want everyone else to hear as well. Yehuda, what do you want to share?
Yeah, I have an older brother,
Yeah, like
but
you more.
anyways in Israel, but like the couple of years before he left, my parents were centering all the attention around him.
Right,
'Cause
right.
He was the oldest, so
You want to give us an example?
like, okay, before he left, my dad went on vacations with him, like so much, and all the other kids had to stay on him.
Right. So, how does that feel? If anyone of you experienced this or have thought about this, how does it feel when you get the impression that your dad or your mom like one of your siblings more than you?
It's terrible.
It sucks.
What about me? That's
What about me? Good. What did you say, Nicole?
I say it sucks
Yeah,
because like
yeah. Who said it's sad? Yeah, it's sad. Any other descriptions of how that feels?
Terrible.
Terrible.
You don't feel like you're.
I'm gonna write that down. Sad, terrible.
Any of the adjectives that you used before, it makes you feel depressed. It makes you like
Yeah.
basically the exact same way that he felt when God decided that his korban wasn't good enough. It's all the same adjectives and feelings, except it's not God, it's just your parents. And in a way, you're supposed to look at God like your parents and your king in a way, but still, it's a hard relationship to have.
Excellent. It's a really hard relationship to have. And you know what? Yaakov and Esau dealt with that. Imagine that. They were like one of the first Jews, you know? It was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is what Jacob dealt with. He dealt with his father, who we got along with, but he knew his father liked his brother more than him. That's a hard thing.
Also, the brothers with Yosef.
Genius. That is going to be the next section of our chuk today. Well, very good. We're going to get there soon. Not bad, Yuda. Keep it up. Brilliant. Brilliant. Totally brilliant. Yes, Nicole.
the way I learned the story of Isaac and his brother is that his brother could have been like ADHD or overly hyper.
Wow.
And he needs to be out in the field and doing things with his hands. Because he can't physically sit there with a book reading it.
Right.
So like,
right.
his
Who here has,
father
anyone here
respected that.
have
and his
ADD?
sister didn't do that.
You can't force anyone else.
No, but I mean, like.
Anyone here have ADD? Fine.
Yeah,
So,
that's how I
so
learned.
Esav, according to some people, even if he didn't necessarily have ADD or ADHD, it could be that, yeah, he wasn't good at like just sitting and reading books all day. It could be that he was better at like doing things hands-on. Better like just dealing. Now the dangerous thing though is that instead of using it to like build houses for people and to like help people with their animals, like you know what he did? He just killed people. He just killed animals. Like he was like a sick. He used it in a negative way. And just something that's very important for everyone here, especially since Rachel mentioned it earlier, is that whatever kochot you have, whatever skills you have, it's important to use them. It's really important that if you have skills, if you know that you're good at something, even if your sibling is good at something else, but if you know you're good at something, it's really important to use those skills and use them for good things. Because then you feel good about yourself. Because you know that you're doing something you're good at. You're following an area of life, or you're picking up a hobby, or you're getting involved in an activity that you know that like speaks to you. And at the same time, you know that you can do good at it, and you can do good with it. You don't have to use it for bad things. And maybe in the story of the brothers, Cain and Hevel, if they had this understanding that I can find something that I'm good at, and I should try to become self-aware and appreciate what makes me special, and I can work on those issues, then that would be really amazing. I can accomplish so much in the world. So that's definitely something for us to think about. Okay? Now, does anyone know what ended up happening with Yaakov and Esau?
Esau was going to receive the first blessing,
Very good.
and then Rivka was like, no, didn't want Esau to. She wanted Jacob to get it, so she tricked Yitzhak into giving the blessing to Yaakov.
Very good. Now, how did Esau feel about that?
Happy.
Not so
Who
good.
knows what Esau wanted to do after that?
Kill Yaakov.
Does that sound familiar to anyone in this room? What does that remind you of, Esther? Cain and Abel.
But then again,
But-
the rights to the firstborn were already sold.
Correct. Very good.
He
He
sold
sold
them
them
for
already.
That's why he's mad.
My friends, did Esav end up killing Yaakov?
No.
Does society seem to be getting better or worse?
No matter.
Well, neither. He was forced to run away.
No, it got better
Seems
because
to be better. The first time two brothers hated each other, what happened? That's not fun. And not funny. Just Cain killed Hevel. The second time, Esav hated Yaakov and he wanted to kill him. He thought about killing him, but in the end, did he kill him?
He ran
in
away.
the end, they ran away from each other, and years later, they got back together. They didn't hang out, but it seems like they sort of worked things out, and then they went their own ways. Now let's talk about another example of brothers. What's that example, Yehuda?
Joseph and his brothers.
Joseph. One of the brothers is named Yehuda, which is why it's cool that Yehuda got this. Anyone know all 12 sons of Yaakov? Very hard
I
question.
think I know 6 of them. I don't know all 12.
I'm
Was
thinking
it
about
this
that
one?
right now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I know a couple.
Let's see how many we can get.
In
Ben-
order or
Benjamin.
No, we got Benjamin, Reuben.
Shimon.
Okay.
Levi.
Asher.
Who said Naphtali?
I said Levi.
We got Levi. You said Naphtali? Okay. What else?
God.
Zebulun.
God.
God, there we go.
Asher.
Asher. Excellent.
What about Zebulun?
Zebulun. Very good.
Levi. I don't remember the song.
Nahor.
Yisachar.
Anyone else? Who said Yisachar?
You can sing it back in a row.
Yisachar.
Very good.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yisachar.
Sorry.
That's one of
You
them.
like say something. I'm like,
Never
what?
mind. Never mind.
Sorry.
We're almost done.
I'm thinking of the color song too with the coat. Oh man.
Guys, you skipped the two easy ones. Yehuda, what's your name? Yehuda.
Oh,
And then,
Yosef.
right, and then Yosef. Very good. So Yosef and Yehuda, that's Joseph and Judah. Very good.
How many is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, always the one.
There's always
one.
one.
If I remember Asher, like.
Right, they're sort of
Sons.
Don. Very good. Wow.
Why aren't you hot stuff? Jeez, you know all of them.
Wow.
All right.
Don't apologize.
So you have all these brothers. You have all these brothers, and what's interesting is these guys. These
I think they had
guys
one sister.
is
That's
Too much.
hormonal.
Or the sisters weren't counted.
guys. These brothers were each really talented. They were each really, really successful, and they were each very special. They were very holy. But still, something wasn't perfect. What happened in this family? Does anyone know?
Jacob favors Yosef.
Yosef. Okay, so we have all these brothers. Yosef is here. I singled out Yosef. I circled his name. All these brothers. And of all these brothers, Yaakov, who is the dad, whose name in English is Jacob, he favors which son?
Joseph.
Joseph. What does he do? He gives him something.
Gives me a coat.
The Technicolor dream coat.
I heard it was a
Technicolor
bracelet
dream
though.
coat. Okay, he gives him the Technicolor dream coat.
Does
Now,
Torah specifically say dream coach?
Joseph.
not dream coat. It's the Technicolor coat.
Does it actually say Technicolor?
I think that's just from the Broadway show.
Probably is.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's a great show though.
But it wasn't the
Great
coat
songs.
like many colors.
It was many
I
colors.
thought
yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah, that's Technicolor means many colors, and Dreamcoat is just like
From
a
the
cute
show.
little name.
To make
yeah.
it sound good.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
heard-
Anna.
I heard that he actually got a bracelet. And it was
Yeah.
a coat.
You know, it's like a Livestrong thing.
Maybe I don't know. I could look
I
into that.
forgot. There was some reason why it was a bracelet, but I heard it was a bracelet and not.
No, it could be right. I just
No, I'm trying to stop.
I could look into that. Now, my friends, how do you think the other brothers felt? Lisa? Jealous. Does it sound familiar? Do you think they loved Yosef or do you think they hated Yosef?
They were not.
Well, some of them loved
Well,
him. Like
see-
some like looked out for him, and other ones hated him.
Yeah, but
they
that's
were
our
like,
point.
just
Well,
throw him in a pit and sell him.
seeing as they threw him in a pit and sold him, I
Right.
think we can say it's
But
a
it
less
wasn't
than
like hate.
favorable
It was like
relationship.
jealousy, but it wasn't like total
That hate's
hate.
gonna bring milk on this.
Well, so it seems to be that there was some type of issue. Now Yaakov loved Yosef. Why did he love Yosef more than the other brothers? He had 12 sons. They were all his sons, right, guys? Why did he love Yosef more than the others?
Oh,
Didn't he
Why did he
didn't
favor him?
Yosef remind him of his wife Rachel?
What was his wife's name?
Rachel or Rachel?
Rachel.
Wasn't Joseph the only son of...
Well,
Except
he had a
Benjamin.
brother, Benjamin, but Benjamin was younger. But you guys are totally right. Rachel's like the awesomest person. Whatever. And Yosef was the son of Rachel, who was Yaakov's most beloved person. He had a passionate love for his wife, Rachel. So Rachel's son was Yosef, so even though he loved all his sons, it could be that he favored his son Yosef more because he reminded himself of his wife, Rachel. Now, Rachel was at that time dead. She wasn't alive anymore. So it was even more like emotional for him. So when he would see his son Yosef, it would remind him of his relationship
Didn't
with his
Yosef
wife.
also look like Rachel?
Excellent. He looked like her too. So it's like every time he would look at Yosef, he would like see his wife, and it would like be very emotional for him. But because he favored Yosef more than the other brothers felt neglected. The other brothers felt, what's that word? Jealous, and there started to be some type of competition. Eventually, it reached a point where they decided, we don't want Yosef around. And what did they try to do? Sell him. They wanted to get rid of him.
Didn't they try to kill him first?
They thought about killing him. They tried to kill him. They sold him. So guys, the first brothers who fought, what did they do? Killed him. Second brothers who fought,
Ran away.
ran away. Here's what happened. They sold him down to which country?
Egypt.
Egypt. Yosef had this crazy story there, up and down in jail and this and that. Eventually, as we read in last week's Parsha, the brothers came down to Egypt, and Yosef identified himself, telling them that what? Ani, Yosef, Ha'od Avi, Chai, says these very important words. I am Yosef, is my dad. Who's his dad? Who's his dad? Yaakov. Who does he love? Yaakov. He says, is my dad still alive? They say yes. And in this week's Parsha, we know that Yaakov is down in Egypt, and he lives with Yosef. And you know who else lives with Yosef?
The other 11 brothers.
The other brothers. Guys, do you see a theme?
it's getting better.
The first brothers who hate each other, what does Cain do to Hevel?
Kill them.
Kill them. The second brothers who hate each other, that's Jacob and Esau, right? Yaakov and Esau, do they kill each other?
They end up
No.
breaking up.
They run
But
away and then
They hate each
later
other, they end up soon to like forgive each other, and then they what?
on. Part again.
Then they part. But finally, at the end of the book of Bereshit, you have the brothers who hate each other, correct? At first. They're jealous of each other, correct? And maybe they even want to kill each other. But what happens in the end?
They'll make up
They live with each other.
Not only do they make up,
They live with each other.
they actually live with each other. So is society getting better or worse?
Better.
Better. Why do you think the Torah is telling us all these stories? Any suggestions here?
So-
Esther Michelle, my friends. Why do you think the Torah is telling us all these stories? Just for fun?
To teach us. Like
To
you
teach
said
us what?
The relationship with your siblings.
Excellent. Excellent. And what do you think you could be learning from these relationships with these siblings? Yehuda, what do you think you could be learning?
When you get mad or if you're jealous, try to talk about it either with an adult parent or even if you're able with the sibling and work something out rather than getting like annoyed because that'll just like lead to more problems.
And if it does lead to problems, should you kill your sibling?
No.
It's like a what to do and what not to do with your siblings.
So do not kill your siblings. That's something we learned today. I'm just going to write that on some piece of paper just to make sure we got that clear.
Do not kill
Do not kill siblings.
But it's so much more fun that way.
I know, right?
So much easier that way.
Do not kill siblings. So that's what we learned today.
Can we hang that up
with
somewhere?
Rabbi Willig.
Could that be like the
This
lesson
is-
of the day?
This is a gift for Nicole. You can do what you like with it.
I'm hanging this up in my dorm room.
That's okay.
When someone asks what did you learn in your thing, I'm just gonna say
Right.
Do not
kill siblings.
As the
Now, here's my next
before I
question.
can
Guys,
say
if someone came to you, and this is a serious question, okay? If someone came to you and asked you and said, I have a sister, and we fight, and sometimes I feel jealous, sometimes she's jealous, and sometimes it gets nasty. Could you give me any guidance? Could you give me any suggestions of how I can make the situation better with my sister?
Yeah.
What would you tell her? Anything?
Don't hit her.
That's great.
Yeah.
Start by do not kill siblings.
That's what I was looking for. Rachel, brilliant. That's the most important answer. First thing you tell is do not kill siblings. Good. And they're like, okay, I won't kill her. What else? What else would you say?
Do not
Yes.
argue with siblings.
Was that first we
I'm
had a
sorry.
suggestion here?
Well, the thing is, whatever I would tell them to do, I would tell them as much as I would know. But I would feel kind of awkward about it because I would feel kind of hypocritical because I know with my own experience with siblings that I don't always take my own advice and I
You
should.
can't help it though.
Yeah,
So
but
then
it's
you-
hard to
It's hard
give
to do it in the
people.
moment, but you can just try to better yourself later after that.
Okay. Yes, Rachel.
Well, I think one thing you should say is that you shouldn't do things in the heat of the moment. Like, if you, like it's not like actually, like it's hard to actually do, but when you think about it after, you realize like if when you're in the moment, when you're feeling the jealousy, you're not thinking clearly. So if you can step away, wait for the raw emotions to cool down until you can like think about like what you're actually upset about, you can work things through a lot easier.
Very good. Very good. I think that's a great suggestion. You guys follow that suggestion?
Yeah.
Like, don't get all worked up in the heat of the moment. Very good. Next, Rachel.
About what Rachel said, a simple thing that you can do, I recommend you all actually try this. It's really like good. If someone really like does something to upset you, go to like your room, whatever, write a letter to them expressing all of your hatred and everything that you feel towards that person, whether it's swearing, whether it's not saying like you completely hurt my feelings, tore like whatever, just anything. Seal it, and after 3 weeks, go back, take out the letter, and if you still feel that way, send it. If you don't, then don't send it. Because usually it's all in the heat of the moment that you feel like that, but if you actually wait a couple weeks, a couple days even, that
Then
will
there's
die
something
down,
else
and
that
then
they do that makes
your
you
brain
angry.
turns back on, and you realize that what happened
You
isn't
hit
as
them for a whole
stupid.
new reason.
Well, see, yeah, that's the thing. If you
Most
read
times
that message,
you will never send 90% of your letters.
yeah, but if you make that letter and then you read it like 3 weeks later, what if you read it like 2 weeks later and then you're like, well, you just really pissed me off again. I'm gonna give this to you anyway. I mean, I was gonna
You have
write
to
it
write a
out.
new letter.
if it's
No,
a
you have to write a
menstruation
new letter. You have to write a new
But
letter.
that's
Every time they
To follow what
you
she's
write
saying,
a
if you
letter.
just
Yeah.
write it down in general, a diary, in a blog, and on the scrap piece of paper, like,
I have videos.
No,
like, or if you just express your
Wow,
feelings
that's great.
in general,
Good,
then
good.
it gets it out there.
Rachel, very good. Next, Yehuda.
I have a couple of short suggestions.
Yeah.
The first
Okay.
one is if you need to talk about something, especially if it's in the heat of the moment, it's very hard to do, and I try it sometimes and it doesn't always work, is don't like you're trying to discuss something, you just argue with a sibling, if you want to talk about it, don't talk about it while you're moving, like if you're in the car, if you're doing something else, because two things, either A, you're distracted so you can't say what you want to say, and B, it's kind of like, yeah, it's basically a lot of distraction, you can't fully think, and then you're saying other things. The second thing is it's really hard for me to do, but there's really no point in arguing because all it is even if there's no jealousy, there's no disagreement. I feel one way about something and somebody else feels another way about something. So we're not even, usually one person doesn't give in to the other person. So you just keep going on and on and on and on about the same thing that you feel, and it just doesn't change. I'm talking about like a negative argument. So like this, I try to put that in myself. It's like anytime I could argue with somebody about something that happened, don't argue because most of the time you're gonna lose, and especially if you're older, and you're just gonna end up getting in trouble.
Very good.
It's basically just like a screening question.
Let's go. Nicole, you want to add anything or?
No, I think
Okay.
good.
Esther, you want to add anything that you might tell this friend? Lucy?
I want to say on the whole sibling thing, what you should know is that whatever happens, whether like you get in a huge fight or like you didn't give back their share, whatever happens, but you have to realize that your sibling is probably, in my opinion, going to be one of your best friends, no matter what happens. Like, you have best friends now in whatever grade you are, and you've had them for like 4 years, like a year or so, who knows, like 20 years. You have a best friend like that, but your sibling has always been with you, and they share things with you that your best friend hasn't even shared with you. And I know it's different, like you tell your best friends like, some things that you don't tell your sibling, but your sibling will always be there for you, like no matter what.
I completely disagree with that.
Really?
Completely. My mom is one of 5 girls, and she doesn't talk to any of her sisters. They all hate each other. No one talks to anybody.
Serious?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, no. The most annoying thing I ever hear is all my parents, my grandparents. You know, my aunts. In 20 years, you guys will be best friends. I'm like.
No, like 5 years ago, one of my aunts came up to visit the family because my grandfather was sick. She smacked my mother across the face in front of me and my sisters.
No way.
Yes.
I've never heard
saw
of
that?
anything
Yeah.
like that.
Like legit smack her across the face?
Legit.
Legit. And we got in the car.
She mentally
I'm gonna mentally slap you.
I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
I'm sorry. Like,
Why
I've
would
never
you do
heard of
that?
that. But
I don't know. I tried not to pay attention to what they were talking about.
like in
My
my
It
head
does
is
have-
zoned out.
Unfortunately, it
whoa,
does
and then we
happen.
left.
For example, I found out that my grandfather used to have a son.
I feel totally bad now.
Like
saying
not
that.
my dad, but okay, and apparently, I think it was his son. And once when his son was really little, they got mad. Like maybe a teenager, they got mad, and they've never spoken since.
Really?
The son said that I'm never gonna talk to you again, and he never talked to him again. I don't know who this kid is. I guess it's my dad's. Like, no.
Wow. Well, actually tomorrow, during the chug, we're going to be talking about tomorrow, like Thursday, during the chug, like during this time slot, we're going to be talking about dealing with parents.
So tomorrow we come back to the same class?
Well, I think you get to choose again. Like
Yeah,
today
I
you
would
chose
like
to come
to
here.
do that.
So tomorrow, you're welcome to come. Otherwise, if you want, you can choose another class or you can split, whatever. I'm just letting you know, today the topic was dealing with siblings in the Torah. Tomorrow the topic is going to be dealing with parents in the Torah. So
Yeah, I'd rather not. I could get violent. I could
Yeah.
get very worked up and very angry
yeah.
about that
So
stuff.
feel free to come.
Yeah,
Maybe
me
it'll
too.
be
Yeah,
it wouldn't
good
be
for you to
healthy.
come. No, maybe it will be good for you.
Let's
You guys
do
can
it.
think about it. I just want to make sure you guys know that that's what we're going to be
Well,
talking
it's all
about.
about respect. No.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Rachel?
Well, relating to what he said and like that is, I know like one of my friends, so she had to like leave home for a bunch of reasons, and so she moved in with her sister, and then her sister actually they had a big difference. They were like 10 years apart, and so her sister was literally like her parent and raised her and everything like that, and then disowned her, and they haven't talked at all, and so she doesn't even know who's in her family anymore because she had to run away as a small kid.
Really?
Why is
And
everybody
so
telling
now-
so much stuff here?
That's so sad.
Well.
It's not me, it's my friend.
Oh, my family gets worse. We're not gonna talk about it.
That's so sad,
Yeah,
though. I
it's
feel
all
really
sorts
bad.
But like another thing
Hey,
you can
every
like
family
tell,
has issues, you know? That's really sad. Even the Torah, the families have issues.
like another thing you could tell your friend, like in the situation of
Yeah.
giving the advice, is pick your battles wisely. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, especially between siblings or parents or whatever, that there is no point in doing the arguing, just like you said. Literally, think it through before you even speak.
Very
And
good.
pick your battles.
Very
'cause
good.
There's no point.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to wrap up now. Last 2 comments, then we're going to call it for today.
She can go
yeah.
first.
Okay, please. Isn't that nice? Say thank you.
I love you.
Hey, thanks. Also, you don't always have to be the one to get the last word in. I still have to work on this. Like when I'm either arguing with a sibling or parent or friend, I feel I gotta say something last, and then then they retaliate, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta say something back at them, and then they retaliate, and it's just,
Yeah.
you gotta stop somewhere, and just, even if it's just the most awkward or not best place to stop, if you're honestly just getting nowhere and just screaming and nothing is getting accomplished, just stop and try again later, because if, agreeing with how he said it, if you're just so strongly opinionated and the other person is so strongly opinionated, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to try it a different time. Try it differently.
Okay.
Can I
I
say
got
one-
it.
well,
I got
after her, I wanna
it. Guys,
say
we got
one
one.
more
I'm sorry. We have one. We have really. I want to make sure you guys can get to lunch. No, no. We'll just hear from Hannah, and then you can say as we get up. You can share that because I really want to hear it. I
First
really
off-
want to hear it. Yeah.
Nicole, I'm sorry about like
all good.
and I didn't mean to do that. But like in my opinion though, I'm pretty sure that like my siblings are gonna be like my best friends older, and even though if you have fights and you're not gonna talk to each other for years and years and years, I think that even if you don't talk, you're still gonna have this special connection, whether it's really good or really bad, that you're not gonna have with anyone else. So I think that's still really important. I think you should still, in a way, keep them close. And I think even if you've been fighting for that many years, I think you, I mean, I don't know, this sounds ignorant because I don't know what's going on in families,
That's ignorant.
but I think that in a way that
Sorry.
whether it happens the day before, like the person dies, the minute before they die, that you say, I forgive you for everything, that I think you still sometimes should forgive for whatever has happened and should just accept your sibling as probably
I
like
hear
the
that.
closest person
I hear
to
that.
you.
I totally hear that. Okay. Excellent. Guys, you one last thing you wanted to
Last
say?
thing, if you do have an argument, and whether it's big or little, best thing to do is to not like apologize that second, but try, let's say, okay, so I'll be arguing with my dad sometimes, and then I'll stop and he'll stop, and then like 2 minutes later I'll try to say something nice.
Right.
Because what happens is, at least with me, after an argument, if I leave and do something else, I still have that dread of pain going inside me. So saying something nice to that person, kind of saying either I love you or say, a nice compliment actually takes that whole argument subject
Interesting.
off your mind.
You know what? I like that idea. Maybe
The
we can
reason
talk
why
about
I
that more
got
tomorrow.
that from a firefighter, he was saying how before he goes to the station, he wants to make up with his wife, be friends, because if he doesn't come back, then they lost on a bad note.
Whoa, we're gonna talk about that more tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, if you're in this group, but that's a big deal. Guys, jealousy, anger, competition,
Don't
something we dealt with. Do not kill siblings.